I knew that I was onto something. I have to be having fun. I was never specifically wanting to be an artist. I just always did all of the things.
Today we're in Brooklyn, New York, visiting architect, designer, and artist Andreea Avram Rusu.
I am a designer, an artist, an architect, a dancer,
Scuba diver.
a diver, a lover of food, music, art. I started in architecture and really enjoyed it. And then I worked in a firm where we also did interiors. So that was my first introduction to actually that scale. And when you start in architecture, you don't know all that much. You sort of are dumped into the profession. And I think I started to make things out of frustration with my, lack of creative involvement. Because obviously I thought you come out of school and then you design the house, right?
That's right? Our dream, yes.
Right, but no. So I started making things, and I found that I could test ideas and I could work out concepts with that scale. And one thing led to another, and I started to make lights. I just really liked the added ingredient of a light source in terms of a sculptural object. I'm always reminded of what Luis Barragan said about this, which is that if you go to his house in Mexico, there's only one room in it that has a ceiling-mounted fixture. And he said that he never did lighting high because it casts shadows on people's faces. So when you use lighting in an interior as a project, it's very important where you place it as far as verticality is concerned, and how people look and how people feel and what the color of the light is. Which is sort of how I ended up with glass, because I was able to manipulate the color of the light. Yes.
What was your first lamp? And why? How did you arrive?
So I actually was working with wood veneer samples.
Yes.
That, because as a baby architect, you're in charge of the materials library. And I just made this spindly little thing with wood veneer, kind of perched on the edge of a piece of wood. But it was like this elegant kind of small.
When you finished it, what was your feeling about that object that you designed?
I knew that I was onto something. I couldn't describe it. I couldn't tell you specifically why, but there was something about it that there was a question that was being answered. I wasn't exactly sure
what it was.
But I knew something was going to be happening. Because I come from a family of scientists, including my mother, I never grew up in a way where as an artist or an architect or a scientist, I felt limited in any way. I wasn't raised.
But usually our influence were kids that would have drawings and pastels.
I was doing all of those things. But I think particularly in certain cases, I think women tend to feel like that's not their arena. Like science is not exactly their arena. It can be intimidating, but I feel very lucky that I grew up in a household where that was never even a consideration.
So what was that first call for something in the arts or in design or in the aesthetics?
I was drawing and painting always. It wasn't even a calling, it was just always present. I was never specifically wanting to be an artist. I just always did all of the things. Because I don't think being an artist is about, how do I explain this a little more clearly?
Yeah.
So I think Being an artist is something that happens to you when you have questions that you want to answer, and you do so by means of a medium. But I don't think that if you are able to draw and paint and you do that in your spare time, I don't think you're an artist.
No, you're not.
I think it's about
language.
Right, and it's because you are looking for something.
You're looking for an answer, or you're questioning,
or you're working out something. Like it might be something about balance, it might be something about scale, it might be something about composition, but you're asking a question and you're iterating and you're looking and you're doing, and work then comes from other work because you are still looking for an answer. Yeah, exactly. So I think that while I did draw and paint since I was a child constantly, I don't think I became an artist until much later, because I wasn't looking for something, I was just doing.
To me, this is not a lamp. I mean, this is a sculpture. And it resembles, of course, I mean, you can read it right away. It's vegetation, it's flowers, it's even the stem. Tell us about this line.
So this is two things at once. So this is based on a banana flower, this section in particular. But then from there, it just became more of a fantasy about tropical sort of forms and scale, tropical plants specifically. So then this became another kind of extension of that language, if you will.
Extremely organic and extremely, I could even say that sexy, you know, like I mean, it has a lot of female forms and curves, and it's very sensual.
This was a kind of a, there are better ones, but this was a kind of a thought for Botanica at one point. But, you know, this is more both construction details and, you know, connections and electrical and shapes. So that one is more of a restrained version, but what you have with some of these is it's a mix of the colors. So as you come down the straighter section that I call a leaf chain pendant, you can play with those colors, and you can go from a dark to a light, or you can mix different tones, or you can put in a little bit of contrast if you want, like sort of like a wild card kind of piece.
When you saw that drawer lamp finished and hanging, what was your feeling?
It's so fun. Like there's no better moment than when you've been imagining this thing and then it's real. Like there's nothing better than that. And there's the pleasure of that, but there's also the surprise of that. Like all of the things that you didn't realize, what presence it really has that you had not accounted for. And when you did account for something and it worked exactly that way, and you have this whole mix of things, and then you put an intention out and it, you know, it sort of brought you back something that's even richer.
I would also say that working with so many elements, you're working there with metals, with cords, you're working there with glass, with all sorts of metals and that. I think some of those materials also speak and have their own magic or their own words. So you're designing thinking this, but those pieces will also add part of being and telling.
And that one has woven leather along the stem.
Yeah.
Which is meant to kind of mimic a little bit like a palm tree kind of trunk. You know, it's meant to give you that texture. It's meant to not be shiny, in contrast to the more reflective glass, and then with the sort of the satin metals are kind of bridge the gap, if you will.
When you're designing a lamp like that or a piece like that, and you started, I would imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, comes from the tropics. I mean, we're talking about banana, we're talking about the tropics, which is where they grow.
Yes.
And you brought it into Manhattan, this jungle of concrete, which I think is conquering, nature's gonna conquer us, which is pleasant. From the start, how was that triggered? How did that come to become a lamp? I mean, tell me the moment you kind of like say, I'm gonna do this, and how was it developed?
So in terms of, I was just thinking about plants more, I suppose. And on the tail end of COVID, my partner and I took a trip to Lisbon, where you have one of the oldest botanical gardens. I think it's like 1860 something.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, and the plants, because they're so old, they're really quite large. So I wanted to do something that was more expressive of scale, as well as a natural sort of botanical vocabulary. And the first ones were very green with rose. I was exploring layering of colors as well, but it was meant to be big, for sure.
How has lighting changed you as a person?
I don't think it has.
No?
No.
Okay, great.
I think it has actually allowed me tremendous freedom to express any number of things that are of interest. You know, because one of the reasons I landed in architecture is because it encompassed so many interests. So when you're interested in structure, when you're interested in physics, when you're interested in stone, in terms of like if you're interested in geology or you're interested in plants, things like that, you can bring all of that in. And the lighting is just a more immediate and interesting way of exploring the exact same thing.
You jump into accessories. Why?
So, because it's fun, but also because it's a quick way of working out other concepts. Like, for instance, this collection.
This one right over here?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
So this.
Oh, this one here, yeah.
Yeah, the same. So this one started as a vase I was testing.
And what happened to it? It melted, or I mean, what happened? It collapsed?
I liked it so much that I was like, oh, well, I think this will make an excellent light fixture. So there you have it.
And it's called, is this from your Marina line? No.
Maria, which means the sea in Romanian.
Sea in Romania.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so because you're bringing that scuba diving world into your work?
Yes. Yes, and the jellyfish. I'm a big fan of the jellyfish. But yeah, no, I mean, it's about sort of organic forms. It's about scale. It's about things being just a little bit deformed in the right way. It's about sort of a fluid kind of, it's fun when glass is hot. It's very fun to kind of manipulate it. And so some certain pieces, certain forms, you can imagine that it's just happened. Like it's fresh, exactly.
Besides glass, what other materials do you use in your lamps? I see that all the shades and all that are basically glass. Have you worked with another different material, or you're staying with
metal? A little bit, but glass is such a pleasure, and it's about the light. You know, I have to say, I never understood those light fixtures that's basically a light bulb attached to some sort of shape of some sort, because the whole point of lighting is for it to diffuse and for it to make people look good.
Yeah,
you
but
know,
to
and
be very nasty, I would say that lamps are really only work to hide a light bulb. I mean, that was it.
Right.
Like,
Well,
just,
yes.
Like, just hide this ugly light bulb.
But to an end, right? Like to not produce glare, to diffuse properly, to
No, and it also gives moods to the room and personality and character.
Sure. So this one is going to start attached to the wall, and you can see my drawing behind.
Yes.
And it's going to come across, and it's going to travel the length of most of a room. And this
Keeps going.
yes, and this bit is what I'm currently working out because I didn't like what we had here before. So this is sculpture armature wire, but this is actually bent aluminum
Yes.
tube. And this is the precursor to that. But the precursor to this is something like this. So these are 1 to 3 scale. And this is how I work out concepts of what we want and what we might do. And, you know, with the little paper shade mock-ups.
Yeah.
And so this was for a custom commission. These were 2 options. There was a third. They ended up going with this. And so, but this is the process. And then when we get to something like this, we make sure that we like it full scale. We decide where these shades go exactly. This one is meant to be here. Then we will load this with glass. The reason we do the full scale is because the weight makes a big difference. Like on this one, if you remove that end shade, that arm is gonna spring up a little bit because it's bent to compensate for the weight of the glass.
It's got that has a lot of engineering,
Yes.
I can see.
Yes.
And this line, was this an earlier line?
Yeah, so that was confetti. It's still
from the
confetti.
start, I mean, like the planetary, or I mean.
Yeah.
How was this born?
Okay, so this was the second kind of stage of what brought me back to lighting after a break. So I was working as an interior designer, and I was doing a show house, and the vendor for the light fixture pulled out at the last moment. So I ended up making something, which was the precursor to this guy. It was this with lots of small metal discs that were water jet cut, and it was meant to look like an explosion of confetti, which it did do. But then I realized that I was missing the diffusion. So then glass discs were added in, but they were just selectively added in.
But I mean, it was born out of an accident, and it doesn't reflect that. I mean, it's a complete structure with so many. It's got so much character and personality. Yeah.
So what interested me about this as it developed is. I mean, we know it's like a Sputnik style thing. We've seen this before. But what interested me was the scale and the placement. So you'll notice that neither of these are the same size, and they don't repeat. And there's nothing beyond the line of the bulbs that you would see in here. There's nothing that's actually on a horizontal kind of a plane. Everything is up, then down, different sizes. There's the layering, then you have pattern. So you have all of these things. For me, it was an exploration of that. For me, it was more of a compositional exercise. And then this one happens to be all white, but usually there is a lot of color in these. So then it becomes also about that.
Which one of your lamps is your favorite?
Well,
Oh no, I love them all.
favorites.
I love them all. Like
No, I
every mother,
definitely have
Like-
favorites, but it's not just the one. So I love Continuum because creatively it's so much fun, and it's like you can always do more with it. It's such an exercise of sculpture and of, you know, exploring and of scale. Because I mean, this thing, if you were to flatten out the section that's on the wall, this whole thing is about 19 feet long, which is fun. But then I also love this style of exploration because that's more about the forms with the glass. And this one in particular, compositionally, I really enjoy. But they do different things because with this one, we will be expanding this collection, but it's not quite the same type of a modular structural system that allows you to
play
do
like this.
something like this, which is kind of, I mean, they are different and intentionally so, but they're both satisfying for very different reasons.
What am I missing from inside of you that you want to express as an artist? I want to know that inside of you that triggers every project or triggers every day coming into the office.
I have to be having fun. I have to be interested. I have to be curious. I have to continuously push something in some way, shape, or form. I mean, I think my nightmare would be to be bored. Can you imagine?